Awesome. So since the last time we spoke, has anything shifted in how you're thinking about where education is going? Because AI is definitely moving fast. And what has really landed on your radar that you're currently paying attention to?
Well, I don't know if we spoke last time about did I share with you the stats of how AI is going to be changing the jobs? Do you remember
I
we
don't think
talked
we
about
I don't think we talked about that, but I definitely know that the stats about that back in December of last year, LinkedIn released a statistics of how AI is going to be changing jobs this year and the years to come.
Yes, it's like I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I do remember it's like something like 90% of jobs are going to change. Are going
Yeah,
No, they're not going to change. They're
they're
going to
implementing.
disappear. 90 like 90 or big percent of the jobs are going to disappear. But also a lot of new jobs are going to appear, a lot of new jobs. And the essential factor that we need to consider of the jobs that are coming up are jobs of leadership, of creativity, of critical thinking, things that are not necessarily easy for AI to replace, right?
Right.
So we think of AI as an assistant, an intelligence that can at scale perform repetitive jobs, that can make calculations on in split seconds. And we think of services that are not replaceable by AI as the person that understands the problem. And
Mm.
so if we think of new companies as solutions. We always talk about that in the world of entrepreneurship. There's a problem, we create a solution. Now, AI can understand that problem only if the human feeds it, because AI doesn't live in the world like we do. AI feeds out of data. So we are the ones that feed the data or the prompts to find the data. And then AI can do that part. So we have to think about the new jobs in terms of leadership. Also, all those jobs that require like the presence of a human being. So I remember I was looking at some jobs, like for example, contractors, for
Yeah,
example,
I would.
in construction, like nurses, although that's probably going to change with the robots, but that's further along. Yeah, we think of these.
It's not too far along because
Yeah,
they actually have nanobots that can go in your blood now to fix different things. So I don't think that from the healthcare perspective is too far along because they are already in the process of testing and using nanobots to
yeah, I
actually
agree,
heal.
and I think from the healthcare per se, there's a lot of tech that is not infiltrating, but influencing that world.
Hmm.
But when I talk about nurses, we're talking about that's the human that takes care of the human.
Well, yeah.
I don't think that that's going to be as easy to replace with machines, because we're still going to appreciate the human to human connection. And so the skill of public relations, this skill, like these are all still super important skills that we need to be teaching our children and raising our children around, those values. um
Well, I would definitely agree with that. I think that skills that are based on personal relationship are going to be the skills and jobs that you're being able to sustain. I also know that from a lot of the reports, I saw that things that can be automated will be where people are manually doing them. Those are the jobs that will disappear, but the
exactly,
jobs that
like
are being created,
administrative jobs and that type of
yeah.
stuff. Mhm.
And then the jobs that are being created are those who are able to prompt AI better and know
Yeah.
how to use AI better.
So
But
essentially, what you're describing there is leadership, prompting AI. That's leadership, right? So
yeah,
that's a skill that we need to strengthen. And then the following of instructions, assisting or administrative assisting, that's the part that's going to be replaced very easily.
right. And with that, so I know there is like this fear among a lot of educators right now that AI is in technology itself is starting to make students intellectually kind of lazy, and they're thinking um of other ways to learn. So how real is this fear in your experience?
I think that this fear is real as far as the traditional school system. And I'll
Okay.
tell you why. Because the traditional school system is training instruction followers. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what AI can replace.
Right.
So as long as we can educate our children to be the leaders rather than the, the followers of instructions, like right now, AI can replace every single skill that is fundamentally like one of the biggest skills that they teach at the school system. I don't know if you're familiar with that quote from John Rockefeller, when he said, "We want our generation of workers, not thinkers."
Hmm.
And so I feel like if there was a new school system being created, which it kind of is, but it's again being decentralized. It's there's a new era of education being created, and is the opposite of that principle. Is we want a generation of thinkers, not workers, because workers can already be replaced. Like if we define workers as what we were describing earlier, like following instructions. So I think that fear, if you think that school is going to prepare your child for a promising future, you should definitely have that fear. But if you feel that you can empower yourself to help your child be a thinker and a leader rather than a worker, then you don't need to fear that, because the economy is always going to adjust itself to the needs of the current market. So as long as you're preparing your child to be a thinker, to be adaptable, to have vision, to develop strategy. Even the strategy part is something that you can do in assistance with AI, right? So like you
Right.
said, prompting AI to be able to develop to accomplish these goals, which is why project-based education is so important, because project-based education parts from a driving question, which is the problem, and then it separates it between the research phase, which you can use AI for. So you need to understand how to research with AI in a way that's competitive, like you have it mapped out in your curriculum for AI. Then you need to be able to do the execution part. That now the execution part can have some human components and some technical components, which AI can help with. But the execution part is very hard to cheat with AI completely, because you need to have a leader executing the project. Then after you execute the project, you need to have a moment of presentation. So everything that you did, that you found out and you executed, you need to be able to communicate it.
Awesome. And I know you with their school